is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, and we're going to work on a little bit on the modeling as well as the guided practice that are required in the lesson plan. Okay, one of the things that we have on our PowerPoint is the importance of expression. Expression, or an expression in reading, is really important for a number of reasons. One, in every class, about 10% of the people in your class are strictly auditory learners. In other words, they learn best by just listening, not seeing any pictures. They don't want to see pictures because it distracts them from what they should try to remember. It irritates them. People with ADHD often are people who like to look at the pictures because they're very visual. People who have autism like the pictures, they're very visual. But what about the others who have a learning style and learning preference of strictly auditory? They like to listen to stories, they like to listen to their lessons. They don't like writing things out. These are the ones who have to think and think and think, oh, how do I spell that word? How do I spell this word? I don't know. Okay, so expressive reading is very important, not monotonous reading. Okay, which is often done because expressive reading is not taught often in teachers' college or at universities in teacher education programs. So therefore, it is important in order to learn this for your own success. Okay, so secondly, another thing that's really important, it starts the brain to become motivated. There's a chemical that starts and makes the brain to become motivated. That's what you want to get started. And that motivation helps to achieve a goal. And the goal is to pay attention, to listen, to learn, to process the information. Okay, another thing, once it starts to get motivated, then the important thing is to try to maintain the attention of the students. One thing that you don't really want to see is that, the person in your class looking at the clock every 5 seconds, or thinking, oh boy, do I wish that I was just out of here, and looking at the door and thinking, oh, what am I going to do after this class? He's so boring, so boring. So we don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen. If it's a biology class or lesson, or if it's a chemistry lesson, a history lesson, even though you are not actually being actively involved with respect to responding to what is being said at that particular point of time, okay? And you as a teacher have to have the patience and knowledge and know, oh, look, what I need to do is, it's 20 minutes into the lesson and we've done a little activity and that's fine, but I also have some other things that need to be done, and they have to listen to this next part of the lesson that we have in our textbook, or that we have, or that I have gotten ready. Okay, so it's important to maintain the interest. Okay, now the nice thing when you're reading a story to the class, or storytelling, of which I've given quite a number of workshops to teachers, is that you can emphasize the vocabulary, the concepts that you have in your lesson plan. You had to have 5 different concepts. Both of you each of you, or both of you, both lessons, can have reading of some type of story or just a short little thing by you in the modeling or even in the guided practice for the students in order to help understand the concepts within context that maintains the interest of the student. Okay, so it helps to emphasize vocabulary and concepts. There may be words that you know that some of your students are struggling with. Some of the students may have reading problems. They may have a learning disability. And that disability may be shown not just in understanding the words, but also in spelling them. Spelling is one of the most difficult subjects there is because of the irregularities in the English language. It doesn't work consistently. It doesn't form the logical pattern in the brain. The brain always looks for logic and patterns. If they're not there, then that's it. Okay, so that's very, very, very important to know. So that if you're working on a spelling word or some spelling words with a small group of students that are constantly getting wrong, that have formed a pattern of incorrectness, then you can emphasize that. Write them on the board as you are talking and as you are reading the particular lesson. Okay, so I'm going to read to you 2 different levels of reading. Remember readability levels, but now it's also comprehensive levels. Comprehension with respect to the sentences, to the shortness and the length. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to read to you is an elementary school story. Okay, and it's Leo Lion. Leo Lion looks for books. There he is. Okay, I'm not showing the picture. I'm not showing you the picture. Okay, because we just want to listen. Okay. Start of this particular chapter. Leo Lion looks for books. Leo Lion walked around his zoo cage. He looked for signs to read. Leo saw some letters on cages. They spelled out, "Do not feed the animals." Leo knew what they said. How long is that going to maintain your attention? How long will it maintain a grade 2's attention? How long will it maintain your parents' attention? Because adults like to listen to stories. They love it. In the school where I used to teach, we would have a special day, special days, like July 4th day or a holiday, okay? And then one of the teachers would have to tell a story to the whole school. Okay, which was really, really neat. And everybody came. Okay, for all the grades, up into the middle level. Okay, so now I'm going to read it with expression. Okay, Leo Lion walked around his zoo cage. He looked for signs to read. Leo saw some letters on cages. They spelled out, "Do not feed the animals." Leo knew what they said. Okay, so that's with much more expression. and I could emphasize it wherever I wanted to. Now, I'm going to think of the S sound, because in phonics, we've been talking about the S sound. So now I'm going to emphasize the S sound. So here it goes. Leo Lion walked around his zoo cage. He looked for signs to read. Leo saw some letters on cages. They spelled out, "Do not feed the animals." Leo knew what they said. And then you could write a nice big S on the board, or even before that, to give them a goal to listen for the sign. Even though that's a visual, it's a very, very simple visual. Now, those who are at mid-level say, oh, this is ridiculous. This is a little storybook. You can't do that with other books. You can't do that with other things. Oh, yes, I can. So, Psychology of Learning for Instruction. Okay, it was a book that I bought, that I had to buy because it was one of our books that we had for one of my courses. Okay, and I'm going to read you a little bit about Posner and some other people who had some theories. So here I'm going to read it just very flat. Posner et al. 1982 contended that useful guidelines for instructions can be found in the metaphor of conceptual change as scientific paradigm shift. New scientific conceptions emerge when there is existing dissatisfaction with the old conception, a new conception can be grasped, the new conception appears plausible, and the new conception opens up new areas of inquiry. Let us examine the implications of these four conditions. Okay, so here the whole context is, how do I change concepts, a person's thinking? Okay, now I'm going to read it with more expression. Posner et al. Contended that useful guidelines for instruction can be found in the metaphor of conceptual change as scientific paradigm shift. New scientific conceptions emerge when 1. There is existing dissatisfaction with the old conception. 2. A new conception can be grasped. 3. The new conception appears plausible. And 4. The new conception opens up new areas of inquiry. Let us examine the implications of these four conditions. That's pretty different. That's a lot different. At least there's some expression, even though they're plain facts. So it's really important, in order to read with expression, to also use that voice. And those of you, and who are going to be, all of you in fact, who are going to be working with speech and language therapists, are going to use that and use that expressive voice of yours, and have your students also use that expression when they talk in front of class, or when they're talking, and emphasize the speech sounds, the articulation that is there, as well as the voice, and how it feels to read with expression. Because that's where the vibrations go. They go through the voice box. And it's really important that, as a strategy, students who have speech and language therapy problems, that they also feel their necks and their vocal cords move, that vibration. That helps them out. Okay, and that's all for now. Take care.